Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining the webinar today. On this segment, which I'll cover here, we will cover two pieces of information. We'll review two interesting pieces of PEMF research that are in the news. And then we'll also look to see how you effectively compare devices and are able to, cut through all the marketing aspects of it and really show the user, the customer, your potential patient or member, how you can see if this device or that device will meet your objectives for getting a PEMF unit. There's a lot of great stuff going on with PEMF. People are really taking a look at it to see how they can integrate it into a wellness routine. And they're even looking at it directly targeted within the home. In the first piece of information that they did on research regarding how you can utilize it in the home was in March of 2021, and it was from researchers at the Xavier University in Ohio. It was in Paris, in Thailand, and they wanted to see if PEMF helped with aggravated inflammation. And their purpose of this research was really looking at the after effects of COVID and the inflammation that it produces and how they can help people, whether these patients are in the home or a hospital, how they can help them fight the exaggerated inflammation that is due to not only this virus, but many, many chronic conditions. So they really put some great information together and research to really open the door of how PEMF can be a great complementary integrative therapy for everyone that can be used not only in the home, they're now investigating it within a hospital setting as well. This was done with a commercial setting type PEMF applicator. So it wasn't one that you would buy on the open market, because they have to use specific parameters because they have to be able to control the environment. But what they found is that it was a very favorable treatment. It had no side effects, and that people who generally have aggravated conditions such as inflammation or high blood pressure really do see significant results based on those who are already in a state of health. So a lot of these conditions, the unifying feature is they all involve excessive inflammation. So if you can really stay on top of that with a home PEMF unit, you can really help your body in the fight of all the different health challenges that it faces in this current environment. The other great area with this study is that they did not only investigate PEMF, they investigated PEMF with far infrared, infrared light actually, so PEMF, red and infrared light, as well as static magnets and light therapy. So what they're finding, these researchers, are that a unit that can combine multiple energetic modalities, because these all provide different levels of stimulus that all work together to help with the objective. And the objective from this research was battling exaggerated inflammation. So red light is what they had used in here because it has been known since 1903, and there was actually a Nobel Prize given out for it, that human autoimmune diseases such as lupus vulgaris could be successfully treated and cured by the application of visible light. And they used, like I had stated, red light, and they had showed that red light helps exaggerated inflammation and or reduces inflammation, was these findings from these studies. So what I'm seeing, and all of these were done in 2021. So this is where we currently are in the PEMF industry. And what I'm seeing is that many of them are now realizing that the body works with a combination of energies. If you look to nature to be your teacher, you can see that light signals to birds that it's time to migrate, and it turns on magnetic field compasses. Now, all of these things require signaling trigger to initiate those abilities. And they're finding out that it's not as simple as what's the frequency to do this. It is actually a combination, and the combination comes from harmonics. And what they're also seeing is a device that can produce multiple frequencies, because the unknown is we don't know what specific frequency does what. And theoretically, the research is showing it is not just a specific frequency, it's a combination of signaling that would achieve the effect. So what the research is showing is that a device that can do multiple frequencies during a therapeutic treatment provides a more statistical probability of achieving the ultimate goal, that is inducing eddy currents and creating induction within the body, which then all helps the body fight any type of exaggerated inflammation. And that is what these researchers are showing from Xavier University in Ohio, photobiology research group in Paris, France, and a science university in Thailand. So they all got together to research this. And this is what they had found, utilizing multiple modalities, seeing what was the most effective combination and how the body responded. Taking all of this into consideration, before we jump to the next piece of news and then the other presenters can go, I wanted to touch base on how you really do compare devices. Specifically, people always send websites or questions, or they heard this, that this person said, and that is great, but it's really all irrelevant, because what does matter is what the manufacturer says their intent of use is, and that intent of use had been accepted by the regulators and the proper authorities. So when you're looking at a device, you always want to, or if a customer, a patient, somebody comes to you and says, I heard this device, or how does it compare to that device? It's easily done. All you would need is the operator's guide, the manuals, because per regulation, they have to state the intent of use. So any type of comparison, you have to submit the operator's manual, or you need to have a operator's guide. The official manual directives that came with the device, because it will state everything you need to know on how to compare the device. So if somebody says, I hear the great research going on in Ohio and France with excessive inflammation, how do I know a PEMF device that I'm looking at will help me with that objective? And this is where you would begin. You would want to look at the intent of use. And again, that's found in all of the operator's guide, owner manuals, book of directives, whatever they would provide with the device. So one area I wanted to cover real quick is the difference between intended use and indication of use. And basically, intended use is what is the intended use of the device, and indications of use also put in the conditions or reason you would be using the device. So some will have an intended use and some will actually have an indication of use. And that is also due to how they are regulated by the authorities and the various approvals they have to treat different conditions and diseases. So I took snapshots of 3 different devices, all different regulatory classifications. Some you may already notice here is the IMRS-1. But when you look at the intended use, this is what the device does. With the IMRS-1 magnetic resonance stimulation system, weak pulsating electromagnetic fields are used to achieve various physiological processes in the body. And this occurs through the magnetic field pulses, and the strength of these magnetic field pulses is no stronger than the average magnetic flux density of the Earth's own magnetic field. So that's the intended use, because it tells you what the device does. And the possible applications are below. It can be used for different wellness purposes, palliative purposes, temporary relief of minor muscle aches, temporary increase of local blood circulation, and that is how a lot of the benefits of excessive inflammation are achieved. So until the device actually has an approval to treat excessive inflammation, you would really focus on the increased blood circulation as the direct cause of any type of benefits you would get from inflammation reduction. And many, if not all, PEMF devices do increase blood circulation, and that is due to the fact it's creating eddy currents and it is providing stimulus to the body, and the body responds in such favor. And then it also relaxes muscles locally. And this again is also attributed to the increased movement of the blood and the other fluids in the extracellular environment. So that is where the intended use is, and these are the possible applications. And so you can take a look at those possible applications, and so you cannot say that this device here, for example, treats or does anything with inflammation, but it is common knowledge that you may receive a benefit because it does increase local blood circulation. So those how that would be correlated and could be explained to someone who is really interested in improving their health, battling any type of preventative measures that could come from inflammation. Up on the upper right-hand corner here is a second intended use. This intended use is to temporarily increase local blood circulation in healthy leg muscles and to stimulate healthy muscles in order to improve and facilitate muscle performance. So this is really what the intended use, what an individual can market the device for, and how you would compare it. So if someone brought you these two devices and said, how do these two compare? This device over here temporarily increases local blood circulation in healthy leg muscles. This device over here temporarily increases local blood circulation. This device over here stimulates healthy muscles to improve and facilitate muscle performance. The first device we reviewed to relax muscles locally, due to its classification, also can be stated that it will help to facilitate healthy muscle performance. So as you could see, these intended of uses, though they're different regulations, different classes, are very similar, and that is attributed to PEMF. It's energy. When you put energy into the body, you will get some type of reaction if you have the proper parameters. On the bottom right here is a snapshot of a third device, which again has a different classification from the other two we just discussed. And I had to chop them up a little bit because I did not want to get into names of the devices and all of that, because this is about education and making everyone a smarter PEMF user, customer, and educator. And we are heading into a more professional atmosphere. And to eliminate all the confusion, you can make a simple T-graph, put the device which you are presenting, get the operator's guide, owner's manual from the person who is asking you. A lot of times these are available on the website, and then you can do a comparison, look at the intent of use. And that is how you can then actually compare the devices and educate the consumer on what would be the best PEMF option for them. You would then be able to advise them that they're seeing a lot of combination energies used. That could also be something you would consider when advising a customer or a patient who is looking for a PEMF unit for particularly their home. So down here on the lower right, this one is for the treatment of non-union acquired secondary to trauma, excluding vertebrae where the width of the non-union defect is less than 1/2 the chat box is in the way, so I only have a little here. The bone to be treated. A non-union is considered to be established fracture site, so there's no visibly progressive sign of healing. You could see this one is very specific. This one is more of an indication of use because this device specifically targets one focal targeted area on the body and provides a magnetic field parameter that has been shown to produce this result to a certain level of efficacy. Now you can see how these three devices would all go. They're all PEMF devices, but it is all on what the manufacturer designed the device to do. Is it a specific device that is used to treat a recognized disease or illness in a large population, like the lower right-hand corner, or it is more of a device that can be focused on treating the body as a holistic and understanding that from examples of nature, how the body does resonate with various energies, you will have more flexibility and can potentially achieve the same objectives. And let me go into that real quick. Intensities. A lot of the times, the medical devices or intensities you'll see in hospital-like settings are derived because you can think of this analogy. Say it's a Saturday afternoon, it's a beautiful day, and you want to go to this little town you know because you want to pick up this specialty item that they make in the little local town. So you and whoever you love to go on car rides with, get in the car and decide to stop at some other places, maybe flea markets, but you're going to get to this store eventually. You have no specific time requirements to be anywhere, but with the duration as time goes, you will eventually get to that point. That is kind of how you can explain a low intensity versus a high intensity. High intensity is like, we're getting to that shop at 11:45, we're spending 15 minutes, we're turning around, we're going home, and everything will be done by 2 p.m. So you have to push things in order to get the results you need to fit that time frame. Because one thing we all know we don't have in a healthcare setting is time. Things need to happen. We need to know how they have to happen. There has to be protocols and dosages. When you're treating with a magnetic field, you are sending energy in eddy currents into the body and can get lots of different benefits from the applications and the intended uses of these devices. So you always want to make sure you look at the operator's guide, take a look at what type of device are you looking at. Also, how does the user want to use it? The device over here on the left with the intended use in purple has multiple applicators and can effectively be positioned to treat multiple areas. The device on the bottom right here is a specifically designed device that is worn to target an area. It cannot be laid on, it cannot be put in a seat. It is a specific piece of equipment that is designed to treat this specific indication of use. So you always want to keep that into the frame of mind as well. Is this something that I'm going to be looking at using it for 3, 4, 5, 6 years? Or is it like the bottom right-hand corner where it is only something that's going to be worn for maybe 9 to 12 months? So that is how you would take any medical device that someone has questions on or would like you to compare to this, and how you would officially, professionally, and per regulations, based on what these manufacturers said to the legal authorities and regulators that their devices do. And that is how you can compare the 2 or 3 or how many devices you're taking a look at. And you can even create a binder to be able to show them how all of this and, effectively be able to compare them just like that. And challenge anyone who goes outside of the norms, unless they are a medical doctor, an MD, a DO, and have the ability to off-label a device, or if they've got approval from the FDA to do so, that's great. Then they would have to show that documentation. But if somebody is stating benefits, health claims that is outside the intended use or indications of that device, that is a red flag, and you could show them and you can educate them on how they are incorrectly presenting that, or did something change that I would be interested in knowing about. But they may not know that is how you actually compare devices on a professional level and accurately, because you are treating your community with respect. You are treating the people who you serve with respect by providing them proper information so they can make an informed consent about what type of PMF they would like to use. So I hope that provided everybody a little bit of information and also provide some simplicity to comparing devices. Anyone can do it. Just ask for a copy of the operator's guide or owner's manual, and you'll be able to compare that device. There was one other piece of information that was interesting research that was done here in Central Florida and at the University of Tampa. It was with 14 college runners. So it wasn't a big population group. It was 14 people. And this study wanted to see if PMF technology in combination with elevated preseason training resulted in some type of benefits for people who are attending any type of short-term training camps. So this was a great pilot study to illustrate how these devices are gaining more credibility, more acceptance into the market, where you have the Department of Health Sciences and Human Performance at the University of Tampa. You have the Faculty of Psychology, Education, and Sports Science in Barcelona, Spain. You have the University of Central Florida in Orlando, the Department of Internal Medicine, all looking at, if we take these intended uses, would they provide complementary integrative benefits to the outcomes results in which we are trying to establish or facilitate. And what they're finding is that these PMF devices that are generally distributed over the internet and without generally medical supervision are able to do a lot of the same mechanisms actions and achieve the same benefits as the commercial devices done in the different types of research. And if any of you have any type of connections or ability, this is a great pilot study as an example. And again, it took 14 people. I think the original group had 16, 2 dropped out, but they're not large population groups. A lot of people may have wellness centers, or they may have a practice, or they may work with somebody who has one of these facilities. And this is a great pilot study in order to show, okay, well, let's take a look at this. Maybe I would like to see how red light and far infrared at 50% and PMF at 100 and all facilitate what type of changes. So I'm going to send these 2 research papers to Terry. All of them were done recently in 2021. And then she can forward them to anyone who may have some interest. So I'll do this one. Also, the therapeutic application of light and electromagnetic fields to reduce hyperinflammation triggered by COVID-19. That's the specific title that these researchers submitted. So I'll send over these to Terry if any of you'd like to take a look at them for any type of further interest. Those are the 2 areas that I just wanted to go into. And now we will see who is the next presenter. And I will now turn this over to Terry.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. They're
good.
Yeah, they're probably unmuted. So,
all right, great. Thank you so much, Gray, for another training. This is wonderful. And I really appreciate you, coming on for us. The first presenter, she has to go, actually, leave really soon, so we need to get her on now. Kathy Katsadrian, and she is the certified nutritionist and cortices specialist from San Diego. And she's a very busy nutritionist, and she's very busy anyway, so she's not taking any new clients. She's a very strong believer in our PEMF. Recently, she bought 3 IMRs Prime for me, one for herself and one for each of our adult daughters. So she really believes in our PEMF device. So she will share with us about her recommendation to strengthen our immunity, and also whatever she can share with us. Kathy, so it's all yours. Kathy?
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Excellent.
Can you hear me? Hello, this is Kat. I have been researching this.
Kathy, we cannot hear you.
For quite a bit now, like 7 years. You can hear me? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you now.
I have been researching. You could hear me? Excellent. Okay. I have been researching 7 years used to
we still have a hard time to hear you, Kathy. Sorry.
Lately, I started this year. Yes. You want me to tell you my experience, why I got involved into PEMF, or what would you like?
Okay. Yeah, you can share with whatever you want to share. Yeah, I know you have to go soon, so yeah.
Yes. Okay. I do body talk. What body talk is, just aligning all the chakras. You just do tabbing on the temple of your head. And
we cannot see you though, Kathy. Can you show us? Yeah,
Oh.
Turn on the video so we can see you how to demonstrate.
I don't know. Okay.
Yes, we can see you now.
See me now? Okay.
Yes, excellent.
So what body talk is, you could just do tabbing on your temple and different parts of your body. That's what a body talk is, which aligns all the chakras, and then you're able to function better. You regain your energy. But since I was introduced to PEMF, I was very much interested. I purchased my first unit about in May and started using it. I saw big benefit from that. And I decided I will buy a few more and introduce it to my clients and my daughter. And they love it. My daughter had recently COVID about a month and a half ago. I will just share this experience, then I have to just run. You have to excuse me. So she had COVID for a week. She was terrible. I immediately purchased a set and shipped it overnight to her. As soon as she started using the unit, she started feeling much better. She started detoxing, of course, with herbal remedies. And with this PEMF 3 times a day therapy, she started regaining her energy, and she's doing super good now. She even went to Mexico last week. And that's all I'm going to say.
All right. So in terms of strengthening your immunity, can you share a little bit about the, you sent me a list already. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I sent you a list, if you don't mind to share.
Okay.
What is very important in this daily regimen we need to take is vitamin D, minimum, at the minimum 5,000 milligrams. Even kids could take, from 5 years and up, could take 5,000. And zinc, 50 milligrams a day, cortisone, K2, CoQ10, vitamin C, minimum 2,000, minimum a day, if you're a healthy person. If you're not so healthy, you need to take 5,000 a day. And magnesium. Those are the important essentials that we need to take.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you for sharing, Kathy. I know you have to run you have to go to your event, so I'll let you go, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a great
staying.
day.
Yeah. All right, the next person, she, all the way over there in St. Louis, Janet Ayers. And she is incredible. She has a super, well, very exceptional testimony. I'm going to let her share it with us. But she has the Omnium One device. That's all she has. And she's totally passionate with our PEMF. She had a lot of illnesses, and she will share with us. And she has done so much. I have never seen a member willing to work like this. She'll be driving a few hours to bring her Omnium One unit to help others, to let them try, and then help them about the benefit. She is incredible. Janet, let us hear from you. Janet.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, excellent.
All right, I wrote this down because I didn't want to leave out any details, okay? So I was born with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a hereditary connective tissue disorder where my tissues are very weak. The glue in my body doesn't stick. All of my joints can sublux and collapse and dislocate. I've had 7 hernias repaired. The last 6 hernias, repairing 2 and then 4 more. I only used PEMF, my Omnium One, for my post-surgical pain. I've had both of my feet reconstructed, including bilateral bunionectomies, both of my knees scraped of all the scar tissue from constant dislocations, my shoulders reattached in what they called a capsular shift that was immediately destroyed by a physical therapist stretching me again. I've had all of my teeth removed because they wouldn't stay in place, and it was like having the worst day of braces every day. I've had my thumb fused and many, many other surgeries. I used to take up to 125 micrograms of fentanyl an hour, plus oxycodone, medical marijuana, and lots of others. I was on up to 29 prescriptions at once. Now I take no prescriptions. 5 years ago, I came down with complex regional pain syndrome and symptoms of superior canal dehiscence syndrome. I had surgery to remove a knot in my hand, and 3 days later, I woke to what felt like a cigar exploding in that hand. At the same instant, my eyes started to shake, and I thought it was an earthquake. When I reached to steady myself, I realized I was the only thing shaking. Complex regional pain syndrome is the most painful chronic pain condition known to medical science. It's more painful than childbirth or having a digit amputated without anesthesia. It's at the top of the McGill pain scale. The SCDS and the CRPS symptoms developed into feeling like my eyes and brain would shake in response to noise and stress, along with the sensations of my hand being crushed as if in a vice, my colon being electrocuted, being stabbed in the eye, ear, head, or violently through my body with an ice pick or skewer. They do feel differently, along with extreme nausea, bizarre body sensations, and so much more. I had to spend most of my time at home being alone. Stress or noise could make me hold my head and sob as if I were autistic on sensory overload. It was a very lonely time in my life. After 2 years of suffering with this without any answers, I was diagnosed with CRPS and told to do some research. What I found was that there's little hope offered to people with CRPS, and that's why it's called a suicide disease. I went to a local wellness center and asked the doctor there to help me save my life. I had spoken with my pastor many times about how if I couldn't find a way to manage this, I didn't see myself choosing to live much longer. The first time I walked in, I had to walk in holding onto my husband's shoulders with my eyes closed, taking tiny steps in order to not be in a wheelchair. After my very first PEMF session, I was able to walk out on my own and have been able to drive since. At that wellness center, they had a Beamer mat, and I used theirs twice a week. After 2 months, it felt as if the Beamer mat had burnt the micro blood vessels in my fingertips. For this reason, I did my own research on PEMF and found what I thought to be the best fit for me, which was the Omnium One, which, by the way, has CRPS on the list of conditions it has been proven to help with. I went to a local OsteoStrong to try the Omnium One and felt it was the right decision, so that's what I bought. After 3 years of using it, I think it may be slowly healing the bone density in my ear if that's what's causing the SCDS symptoms. I won't go through fighting for a diagnosis at this point because their only potential cure is to have a brain surgery, which for some only makes the symptoms much worse. I do use a plant-based gut-to-brain axis healing protocol that also helps greatly. And I think the reason it's so effective for me is because my Omnium 1 is allowing those good nutrients to get through to all of my cells. I've seen amazing things happen before my own eyes with people who have Parkinson's, people who have supposedly had to have both of their knees replaced due to stage 4 bone-on-bone pain, who after 3 days on my system had no pain in either knee. And 3 months later, one knee is still pain-free and the other is at a 3 to 4. This man does not have an Omnium 1 yet, or he likely still would be pain-free. I've traveled as far as 7 hours for free to take my system to people to show them that there is hope for healing naturally if we use what God intended for us to have, the pulse of the earth that my system mimics. The pulse of the earth has gotten weaker over time, and with concrete, rubber-soled based shoes and such, we don't absorb the pulse like we used to. I recently took my system to a 4-year-old boy who had COVID. He quit coughing immediately upon getting on my mat. I think this can be life-saving and life-changing technology, especially when used in conjunction with a good nutritional supplement. For me, it has saved my life and has changed my life drastically. My husband used to push me in a wheelchair at times. Now he can't keep up with me. I spent 14 years in a hospital bed in my home for the most part and have been disabled for 25 years. Now I'm starting my own business, sharing the hope I found. Yesterday, I walked 5 miles. I'm night and day different, and I want the world to know that there is hope for healing naturally.
Thank you so much. Wow, wow. You suffer so much, Janet, and that's it. It turned around, and you are so much passionate. We've been communicating every day, and you are incredible. Really, your heart is in helping other people that they suffered, especially when you had suffered so much in the past.
I just have to make the point that it's not me that's incredible. I am amazed. God is amazing. Okay. God's made all this possible. And it was the original pulse of the earth that this map mimics. And so I just have to make that point.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Janet, for sharing. So, hey, the next person, Washington, Jason Major of Patient to Patient. Last time we didn't get to share. That's this time now. It's all yours. Jason, go ahead and share with us, and then we open up Q&A, okay?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Speak louder a little bit. Yes, we can hear you.
There we go. Let's see here. Yeah, thank you for inviting me back. My name is Jason. I run a free clinic called Patient to Patient, where I help people learn about PEMF and Rife. And Janet, what an amazing story. I thought I had a good story, and it's just another testimonial to how important PEMF is. And thank you, Greg, for explaining some of that as far as differences and stuff, because there truly are differences. And thank you for explaining to help people. My story began a few years ago. I ran a company. We did national, regional, national trade shows, special events, concerts, that kind of stuff. I was one of 3 executives that ran the company had been the last 13 years. And I was out on a show, and when I got back to my Airbnb that night, I had a pain behind my left knee, and I kind of like I'd strained it or something. And I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't do anything to really injure it, but over the next couple of weeks, that pain then moved to my right arm, up to my right arm. And I thought that was weird, kind of same kind of pain. And then over to my right arm in the following week, and down to my right leg. And so then I thought something was up. So I'm not one to go see doctors a lot. So I decided this I probably should do. And I went and saw a doctor. Of course, the blood work started. They couldn't find anything. And but at this time, I was starting to lose my ability to raise my hands over my head. I was having difficulty getting up from a seated position, and it was progressing at a fairly good pace, and enough to be concerned. So I got then forwarded to a neurologist, and then a rheumatologist, and then just every specialist in line of that. No one could ever find anything was wrong. They could see what was happening. They could tell what was happening. They just couldn't tell me why it was happening. But then it started to get more severe because then my kidneys became affected, and then my liver, and ultimately the muscles around my lungs, and I started not being able to breathe very well. I did 2 deep muscle biopsy surgeries, which once again could show the inflammation that was happening, but they could not figure out why. Several MRIs, CAT scans, EMGs, all the tests, couldn't figure out why. And it was such a perplexing case that the University of Washington actually admitted me twice to do for study, basically, to, you know, when you're an unknown case, they kind of like you for a while. And they started sending my blood all around for rare diseases, all that kind of stuff. But as this is all going on, I'm progressively getting worse. I can no longer get up out of a chair. I can no longer get out of bed on my own. You know, self-help skills are going away. And the concern obviously was the timing, because it was obviously progressing and my heart was kind of the next thing in line. And after, long story short, after we had gone through everything, I got the talk that basically, I'm sorry, we don't quite know how to stop this. We don't know exactly why it's doing what it's doing, but we can see that it's happening. We just don't know how to stop it. So I got referred to pain management, and you know, hopefully medicine will become smarter and we'll be able to figure it out, you know, in time. They did offer hyperbaric chamber therapy, just kind of something that was an idea. I had no proof whether it would work or not. And because I wasn't diagnosed, it was not covered by insurance. And so therefore it was $40,000 was way out of my budget for one round. And so I started looking into home hyperbaric chambers. And I came across, while I was doing that research, I came across a study that had just been completed, or it was a paper published in PubMed. And it talked about this thing called PEMF and its effect on blood. And I was just happened to be researching this kind of thing. So I started looking at it, and I read the paper, and then I kind of looked at the atmospheres those home bags provide. And then I decided, okay, I'll do the math. Well, it turns out that in my mind, a PEMF mat and sucking on supplemental oxygen provided more saturation than a home hyperbaric chamber. So I took that to my doctors. I said, what do you think? Is my math right? Am I doing it right? And they agreed 100%. And that's when I went out and bought my first mat. And I bought a home oxygen concentrator because I didn't want to deal with tanks. And my mat came in a couple of weeks, and that's where my life changed. It took away my inflammation. Now, I spent a lot of time on the mat at 5 to 6 hours a day. I bought the Omnium 1, so I had 1 hour increments. I have reversed everything. My kidneys are no longer failing. My liver is in great health. I have no restrictions whatsoever. I probably won't go out and run a marathon, but I have absolutely no restrictions. And people saw this change, and I'm leaving out the right part of this because I know this conversation isn't about that, but it also played an integral role in this. So it was really the combination of the two energy devices that did what it did. And so friends, family, I started helping them with the mat, just like Janet's been doing, and the amazing changes. That word started to get out, and that's where patient to patient became something. And now I currently run a caseload of about just over 60 people, and with amazing results. And PEMF is truly something that everybody should have in their home. There's Greg touched on it a little bit. I could greatly expand on that because 1, I'm not a manufacturer. 2, I'm not the government. I'm not a doctor. I'm a patient. And I can tell you my experience is exactly what I did, and that's what I do for people. And when they apply the same thing, it's people have just amazing results. It hasn't not worked on anybody yet. So knock on wood.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Janet and Jason, you guys are so passionate and working with me very closely. I really, really appreciate the opportunity actually to work with you guys and learn from you guys. So, okay, we can, great. Go ahead, Janet.
I just wanted to let you know that I've also used this on my dog. My dog had a golf ball size cyst. It was a black saliva duct that the vet said would have to be surgically removed. And it was going to be 6 to 8 weeks before we could even see a board certified surgeon. And in that time, I put him on the mat, and within 10 days, it was completely gone. And he only did 10 minutes a day. Recently, my dog was bleeding from his bladder, or he was peeing blood.
I remember that, yeah.
Emergency vet, I couldn't get in touch with the vet or the emergency vet. So I put him on my mat. Within an hour and a half, he was peeing yellow. I spoke with a vet that uses this system, and he said just to keep him on it for 5 or 6 hours a day. I did that. My dog's now completely healthy. So he's going to have to do it every day now just to maintain his health. So I just want to add that.
That's great. Dog is a family member, so important, right? Great, you know that. So anyway, so great. Should we open up question and answer? We have to open up the unmute button for people.
Yep, everybody has the ability to unmute themselves.
Okay, feel free to ask questions to any of the presenters here. Grace?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
My English is not really good.
That's okay, go ahead. Yeah.
But I'm so glad to hear all these news. So exciting.
You have a question?
I bought the. Yeah, I guess I probably don't know how to use it, so I didn't get all those results they mentioned. So basically, could you tell me how to use it to get all those great results?
Okay, great. How can we answer that? But anyway, Grace, contact me later, okay? So we're gonna, I'm not sure who's your sponsor, and we can help you on that, okay? Like Greg always said that it's important, consistency and hydration, 2 things, very important.
Sometimes people need a coach, and there's wonderful coaches, and sometimes you need to, seek out a coach and, pay for their services, because you could have a nutritional deficit that is hindering any type of benefits. Your body may not be in a great state to
feel
and also hydration. So sometimes seeking out, a healthcare provider who can help you tackle those areas to make sure all the variables to get the benefits are aligned.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't think the healthcare provider could really help me. I am a licensed acupuncturist myself.
Excellent.
So I know. I'm really into getting myself healthy and helping other people as well. But I could feel the PEMF is good, but I just didn't get to those good results.
Yeah, I think I know what group you're under. So contact me. You get my phone number, okay? Contact me. All right.
Okay.
So no problem. We'll personally coach you to help you.
All right. Thank you.
Terry, this is Joy.
Can I Joy. Yeah. You're the acupuncturist. Yes, go ahead, Joy.
Grace, I'm also an acupuncturist, and I've been using the mat for myself and my patients for, I don't know, I think it's maybe 14 or 15 years now.
Yeah.
And part of it is it takes some time. It takes some time, and sometimes what you notice first is you notice that something isn't as hurting as much or as bad. And the thing that has impressed me the most is just gently, consistently over time. And it's important to do it every day, and more than once a day if you can. But sometimes it takes some time to help the body build back up enough to see and feel the results. So part of it, I think, is just being patient and not being discouraged.
I'm not. I mean, because I know it will show up in the test results instead of, my personal feelings. But I mean, recently I do feel some results, but just not as, amazing results like what I heard.
I know. And sometimes it's like there's a moment where it becomes more amazing, but up until then it's kind of like, all right. But it's almost like building enough of and rebuilding, almost like a rebuilding enough of a matrix in the energy and the cells to be able to get to that amazing moment. Mm-hmm. But I would say, please hang in there. And also, I would be so happy to share some things with you, not in this. Terry can give you my number.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And
who has the next question? Yeah.
I just want to say, when I first started, I turned mine on for an hour at a time. And every time it turned off, I turned it back on. Now I only have to use it 8 minutes a day, unless I have a particular soreness that I'm trying to nurse. But the more you use it, the less often you have to do it. So, but I always use it every single day.
That's very good. Yeah. Jim, you have a question, Jim? We cannot hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I have a question for the doctor. I'm trying to understand the heart rate variability factor that's all the way to the right. When I get on the mat, my heartbeat is very steady with a heart rate variability of 1. But usually I'm in the 80s. My wife, on the other hand, is in the 60s, even low 60s, but a lot of variability where the heart rate variability coefficient might be a 3 or a 4. And one time I saw it go up to around a 6. My question is, what does the HRVC mean?
Oh, okay. Great. He's talking about the
variability category. There's the 7 categories. So it's the HRVC is the category that it is showing that range of signals falls into that category per the algorithms.
What is healthier, a low or a high HRVC?
Neither. You want variability.
So my heart rate is pretty steady. My wife's heart rate is like sawtooth, up and down. Does that mean anything of concern?
I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't provide you medical advice. What that intended use is to do is to show variability during a PEMF session, not provide any type of diagnostics. So if that is a concern, you should have medical equipment or a heart rate monitor that can actually detect various conditions. That intended use is to use the signals to adjust the magnetic field parameters, but the algorithms are not set up to provide a diagnosis of any sort. But you can see concerns, and that is where you can then take them, to the next step to actually see, is that anything or is that just normal for me?
Okay, now my question is, over time, we start out with sensitive. Is the goal over time to set the settings stronger and stronger, as long as we don't have any adverse effects? But is 400 better than 200 or better than 100? Because wherever you set the setting, it's going to vary based on the algorithm if you're using that finger clip.
And you want variability.
Start high or not
There
start
is
high,
no,
but
there is no magnetic field parameter goal. And the reason for that is nature. Depending where you are at on the planet, you have different exposures. Depending if it's night or day, you have different intensities. So you want variability. And the reason is that variability keeps the body in focus and in tuned because it's always changing. So the body cannot detect a signal, have it repeating and repeating and repeating, and then, decipher or assign whether it's a stressor or something to it, where with this signal parameters, it's always repeating, or it's never repeating, it's always variable. So with the HRV monitor, that adds more variability because, as we know, PEMF is in nature. The Earth's static magnetic field becomes pulsed when we move through it. And that is very variable. There is no pattern or constant replicating signal from our human movement. So that is the intent, is to replicate that into the user's experience. Now, the higher you go does not necessarily mean better, because people who can get a reaction within their body from sensitive show that they have more of a attuned body where it can pick up subtle vibrations. And if we look to nature, where we were just discussing that we aren't connected to it anymore, most of the subtle vibrations, intensities in nature are very minimal, less than 5 microteslas. So our body is used to picking up these subtle signals, and that is what gets blocked out and cause all of these, dysfunction within the rhythms. So neither is better, because you sometimes can train your body to be more of an antenna, as Dr. Tong would say, by utilizing lower frequencies than the higher frequencies stimulation. But neither is better. And the other area is that a lot of people do not want a higher frequency at night. You want a lower frequency or a lower intensity, because a lower intensity signals to the body you are sleeping. It is nighttime, because that's what would be in the environment. So the intensity should vary, and they also should be high or low based on your intended use. Am I looking to meditate or sleep or relax, or am I looking to have activation, performance, concentration, focus? Okay, so that's really how you would think about the intensities.
I was a little confused or misunderstood frequency versus intensity. So are you saying that in the daytime or in the morning, I should set it to a 200 or a 400, and in the evening, I should set it to a sensitive or a 10? See, that's the one variable I don't know how to set.
I would do it, and this is the way I do it, is just like the environment. In the morning, you have lower intensities, and then they gradually go up, and then they come back down. Also, it also changes per season, per all these different type of environmental changes. So there is not one, if I do this, I'll get this, because everybody is also different. I do know there was a woman in Portland, Oregon, who needed to do it on 150 to sleep, because that's what her body preferred. So really, that's the magic of the HRV monitor, is it takes out the guesswork in what intensity. So if you just set that, the initial intensity at 50 or 100, and then put the HRV monitor on, it will adjust the intensity, so you do not have to guess what is the intensity I should be utilizing.
Well, here's my question. Would it go, if I set it at 100, would the intensity automatically ever go over 100, or does that become the ceiling if I set it at 100?
It will move based on the categories. I would say reach out to the person who you're working with your unit, there's also some great videos about this, but it moves based on those 7 categories. So whatever the highest category is set is where you will be. But I can assure you there's more important parameters that will affect the outcome than the intensity level, because people have used sensitive and have miraculous experiences as well as higher intensities. But it is all based on you and where you are at on your health journey. And that is what the tool of the Hexagon Sense provides to you, is the dynamic experience, and takes out the guesswork, because not only are you getting frequencies in the upper and lower harmonics, you're also getting variable intensities. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Jim is very precise. He's very smart. He's an aerospace engineer. So that's why a lot of questions.
But you also have to realize we're working with energy, and energy is like spilled water. Where does it go and what is the effect? Well, really, that is the body dictating that. We're making the eddy currents and the body is dictating the drive. That's like the difference between high intensity and low intensity. High intensity directs what is going to happen. Lower intensity, like Ms. Ayers stated, is directed by God. We provide the energy, and the creator who created the body drives the car. So we are just providing the tools for the body to do what it needs, not pushing through in order to get a desired result, because we don't have time.
Pamela, I see you there in North Carolina.
Hi there.
I'm glad you're here to be on. Yes.
Hi, Terry. Hi, Greg, and everyone. Welcome to Swiss Bionic Solutions. I'm in North Carolina, and I'm so excited because JD found, unbelievably, this luggage. And I don't know if can you kind of see it? But anyways, the new mat actually fits in it.
It fits? That's great.
And look, I'm going to put it in right now. Now, this luggage is actually perfect. It's the exact size. I don't know if you can see it. It opens like this.
Yes.
And then it's the exact dimensions. It is used luggage. And then look at this. It has a buckle and a belt. So just so everyone knows, I've been traveling all during COVID, and my traveling partner's been my mat. So everywhere I go, yes. I am on different time zones. So like today, what I did is last night when I got here late, I did about 20 minutes on sensitive. And then this morning, I did 50 laying on my back, 50 intensity for about 12 minutes on my back. And then I turned over on my front for 12 minutes. And I feel like I had a full night's rest when I probably had 4 or 5. So I'm just telling you guys, experiment, explore. It can't hurt you. Drink water before and after. Take your supplements. I'm on the planes. I'm traveling. And I feel great. And I am so grateful to Swiss Bionics, to Greg, to Wolfgang, to Terry, and everyone who has helped along the way. And I just want to say, enjoy it. Don't be afraid of it. So have a great time. And you will detox a little bit. And that's the good news. All right. Love you all. God bless.
You look great, Pamela. So
thank you.
Maybe we have one last question, and then we close it up, right? Great. Anybody has one last question?
I have a quick question for Jason.
Yes.
Jason, I actually have one of the home hyperbaric chambers, and I have a concentrator. It's in the same room with my mat. And some people just physically can't get in and out of the chamber. And I was just wondering, do you put the mat on any special settings to get the same results with the concentrator?
Like Greg said, it varies. Now, I have opinions based on my treatment and treatment of others. I personally 400 all the time. It puts me to sleep. I just don't all the other great things that the items have, I use none of it. It's all 400 all the time, and I usually in an hour minimum. I do have an IMRS 2000, so it's stuck at 24 minutes, which thank God they fixed that, because that's just a pain. So
I have
yeah,
the same one, so I know.
400 all the time. To do the 24 minutes, that's the one that's actually in my bed, so I actually do go to sleep every night with that. We know what PEMF does to the blood and what low intensity PEMF does to the blood. And like Pamela was saying, you know, don't be afraid of this. This is we got to remember, product is under 1 Gauss. And so PEMF is a large umbrella term, kind of like autism. There's high power PEMF over 8,000 Gauss, and you've seen them. They're typically the ropes, but they're for a different purpose. Mats provide that full body experience of what it does to our blood. It increases our blood flow, puts a charge on our blood travels around clumped. That's what it does. Every single person on this call, that's just what happens over time. And PEMF reverses that. It puts a charge on our blood, and we've seen what that does. Well, the red blood cells are able to take 4 molecules of oxygen each. In a clumped environment, you're not getting that kind of perfusion, hence aging. So when you do lay on PEMF and use oxygen at the same time, your red blood cells have a better chance of picking up all 4 molecules of oxygen. So you get the increased perfusion and you get the increased saturation at the same time. When you do the math, the home hyperbaric bags cannot obtain the atmospheres needed to provide a greater level of saturation. So it's just what it is. And so, yes, I use, and if you're using an oxygen concentrator, obviously the lower the setting, the greater the concentration, the higher the setting, the less. But that aside, they're still able to provide about 95% pure oxygen. So it's super beneficial. Your mat experience will be completely different, or not different, I should say. It should be enhanced. It is something that not very many people know about. But
I know I've had these 2 things in the same room for years and years, and I have, especially when people come to Denver at altitude, I'll put the oxygen on for them while they're on their mat. But I've never even thought of doing it together so this is fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those with cancer, it's something else that creating that oxygenated environment, it does incredible things. And so anyone who's still on should pay attention to that.
I know,
Mary.
I know, Mary, you have a question. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, quickly.
Okay.
Last question.
Has anyone had experience where the mat is too hard on your back? When I lay back on my back, it's too hard. It's like I'm sleeping on the floor. So I don't. So, but Jason has advised me to put something to make me comfortable, you know, so I put duvet, but it's still like very hard. I don't know how my body is like that, you know? Yeah. Any advice for that?
Jason?
I'll go. I know. Hi, Mary. So absolutely. This is another problem, I would say, with manufacturing of the mats. If they're not comfortable, you're not going to use them. And I run into this all the time. And I also understand the manufacturer's warning about bending the mats, and you don't want to bend the coils. I absolutely totally get it, but you need to be comfortable. And so you got to figure out a way. Personally, I use a ROHO mattress on top of my mat. So the mat's on a solid surface, and then I use a ROHO device on top of the mat. A ROHO device is just an air filled bags, basically. They're just kind of like an air mattress, typically for people who are bedridden, that kind of stuff. So you can get your hand on one of those ROHO devices, the bed ones. It'll make a world of difference. The PEMF signal is not affected at all by it, and it's very comfortable. And you can lay on the concrete floor and put a ROHO on there, and you'll be just fine.
Wow, we've gone more than an hour. Over an hour. Hey, I know, Mike, you want to share. Mike, go ahead. Really quickly. Mike Garrett. Okay. All right. I just got your text, but it's okay. All right.
Can I say one thing to her is that I've used pillows under people's knees and under their heads, and and actually to elevate the legs, and it has not been any problem. So you can also use pillows.
Yeah, that's right.
I've
Good
used
idea.
pillows and had good results.
Yes, I have people they're doing that. That this is help them. Yeah, it will help them too. Yeah.
To be much more comfortable, and you
Yes.
also don't always have to just be on your back. You can, lay on your side or just be comfortable. But pillows actually really help and don't seem to interfere that much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Very good. I know Mike lost the contact. Anyway, so thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, Janet, and Kathy's gone, and thank you, Jason. Okay. So Joy, I'll give you Jason's number, so you guys can chat. All right. So Janet, thank you so much. Greg, we are good.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Enjoy your day. Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank